So basically, a one-night stand with Liu Ruyan leads to a completely unexpected pregnancy. Because of this, our guy marries into her wealthy family, genuinely thrilled to spend his life with her. Even though she treats him like absolute garbage and ignores him, he never gives up. But the moment their young kid gets into a fatal accident, his entire world completely collapses. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan literally runs off to the Xili mountains with her childhood crush. They are out chasing teenage dreams while our guy is left alone guarding their dead child. Every single second is pure torture, and just as he is about to completely lose hope, clicking heels echo as someone in the crowd gasps that Ruyan is finally back. He instantly spins around, but there is nothing there except a completely empty doorway. The crushing disappointment hits him like a tidal wave, dragging him straight under. It finally clicks that she never belonged to him, and this tragic marriage? It was just a one-man show from the very start. Now let us rewind 3 days. Their sweet little boy dies in a car crash while she flies to Xili with He Yiguang. She is fulfilling teenage promises while her son, Xiao Chi, has been dead for 3 days. Liu Ruyan is still a no-show while guests quietly cycle in and out of the funeral. Everyone acts so devastated, but our guy knows their fake pity is just for show. He is trying to get a drink of water when he hears some cruel whispering. They're gossiping about how the kid has been dead for days with no mother around. Wait, you do not know? Know what? They whisper that Ruyan went straight to the freezing Xili snow mountains with Yiguang. There is no cell service out there, and her family is literally going insane trying to reach her. She has not answered a single call. Honestly, she is probably ghosting them on purpose. The women just smirk, saying everyone already knows the real truth. They claim our guy used shady tricks to trap Ruyan in this marriage. Otherwise, she would have married her crush years ago. Hearing this, his mind starts spinning. Bro, the sheer grief and exhaustion are too much, and he completely passes out. After some medicine, he wakes up to the same annoying, heartless whispering. His head is absolutely splitting, so he just buries his face in the pillow. Trying to block out reality, he instantly smells the damp, salty scent of tears. His tears have completely soaked the fabric over these agonizing few days. But Liu Ruyan is still nowhere to be found. Suddenly, the chatter stops. The sharp click of heels echoes through the room, and someone gasps that Ruyan is back. No way. She is out with Yiguang. She would never actually come back. Why would she return when she is having the time of her life with him? And even if she wanted to, her childhood crush would never let her. The rival literally chose their son's birthday to fly her out of the country. That night, little Xiao Chi just stared down as his birthday candles melted away. The flickering light showed nothing but pure heartbreaking sadness on his face. He loved sweets so much, but he did not even touch his cake. His sweet little voice kept asking over and over when his mom was coming home. He was always such a good, gentle kid who never complained. Deep down, he knew his mother did not love him or his dad. For 5 long years, his only wish was so simple. He just wanted his mom to spend one single birthday with him. But he died without it ever coming true. Suddenly, a nearby chair scrapes back. Someone sits down next to him, a scent he knows too well after 5 years of marriage. Just her scent, her movements. He knows. He used to crave her affection so much that even a single glance felt electric. His heart is dead. She sits, a quiet, empty apology. Another empty apology, just like when she abandoned them to travel with her lover, He Yiguang. He begged her to wait just 1 day. It was their son Xiao Chi's 5th birthday, and the boy just wanted his mother there. After years of a forced marriage, Fang Yuan knew he had no right to demand anything. She never wanted this marriage, but he kept hoping. He always found himself begging, though the outcome was always the same. Liu Ruyan had just brushed his hand away, coldly saying that Yiguang was waiting for her. But her child was waiting too. Now, he never will again. Shivering from the cold, Fang Yuan curls his body into a tight ball, deep under the blankets. She knows he is awake because she is incredibly sharp and naturally suspicious.
tracking his every move for years. She was always paranoid he was plotting against her.
Or worse, that he might hurt her precious lover. "You are awake," she says, completely devoid of grief.
She just tells him to eat because the guests have left. How can she be this calm? Honestly, it is like her own son did not just die. But then again, she always viewed poor Xiao Chi as nothing but a massive embarrassment.
She never saw Fang Yuan as a husband either, especially since his mother forced this marriage. Without that scheme, they never would have wed, and God, how she hated him for it. She hated his mother, too, once calling them the ungrateful snake from the famous fable. Just thinking about his sweet boy brings Fang Yuan to the verge of tears again. Only a hoarse, choked sob. Sobbing, he asks her if she has even gone to see their son yet. She gives a dismissive nod while he struggles to keep his raging emotions in check. Her excuse? No mountain signal.
She keeps repeating that it was a total accident, desperately trying to excuse herself.
None of it matters anymore. "Get out," he whispers. She stays. Annoyed by his cold shoulder, she demands to know how he could let a young child wander off.
She asks how he could be so reckless, claiming her right as the boy's mother.
Hearing her demand an explanation, he can only let out a soft laugh at the hypocrisy. He slowly forces himself to sit up, knowing he must look absolutely terrible right now. His eyes are hollow, lifeless. He is so pale and thin that he literally looks like a living skeleton. Meanwhile, she stands there in luxury designer clothes, looking pristine and crossing her arms. Her face is undeniably beautiful, yet there is not a single trace of grief on it. 0 tears, just cold interrogation. And he, the grieving father, is treated like the criminal. She snaps, asking what is so funny.
As she frowns, he leans back against the headboard and whispers that he is laughing at her.
Fragile as paper, ready to break. His sharp edges remain as he asks her if she even knows where Xiao Chi wanted to go. Liu Ruyan just stares at him, signaling him to keep talking. "He went to find you," he says.
"He tried calling you so many times, but not a single call went through."
The poor kid thought his mom was just lost and went out to search for her. Liu Ruyan hesitates, asking why he didn't stop him, like he could lie to him forever. But the boy was too worried about his mom. Then, suddenly, everything changes.
He feels completely pathetic and ridiculous. Why is he even bothering to explain things to her?
It is his fault. A cold storm brews in the silence, and Liu Yuyan's gaze turns freezing. She starts judging him with her eyes, but he looks right back at her, completely unfazed. He tells her straight up that his real mistake was falling for her and having Xiao Chi. Honestly, he regrets letting her bring the kid into this world just to suffer. And failing to protect his own son was his biggest failure. But under her icy stare, he doesn't back down. With a bitter smile, he tells her his absolute biggest mistake was ever holding on to hope for her. Believing they could ever go back to the way things used to be was just pure delusion. Liu Ruyan's face goes completely blank. For once, she is absolutely speechless. Before either of them can react, a sudden slap comes flying out of nowhere. Someone bursts through the door, sobbing and screaming absolute abuse at him. She grabs his shoulders and shakes him, yelling that he cannot even look after a single child. Asking if he even deserves to be a father, this violent lady turns out to be Liu Ruyan's aunt. Talk about toxic. Despising him was one thing, but she honestly hated little Xiao Chi even more. From feeding the poor kid spoiled food to whispering cruel lies in his ear, she was monstrous. All this dramatic crying is just a fake act she is putting on to impress Liu Ruyan. He just sits there numbly as she slaps him repeatedly until his lip starts bleeding. And what does his wife do? Liu Ruyan just watches the whole thing go down, completely unfazed. Her eyes are totally cold. It has been like this from the very beginning. Whenever he and Xiao Chi needed her most, she was never there for them, not even once. The physical pain of being beaten hurts, but the constant stream of insults cuts even deeper. Looking up at her freezing eyes, he remembers how she used to panic if he just tripped. Even a tiny scratch would make her incredibly worried about him back then. Back then, she would frown and ask if it hurt, but man, how times have changed. Now he is getting beaten right in front of her, and she does absolutely nothing. For years, his feelings for her went from a sweet high school crush to pure exhaustion. Dealing with her constant hot and cold attitude meant constantly walking on eggshells just to please her. Ultimately, a series of calculated events forced them into this broken marriage. Becoming her husband meant living with a mixture of love, hope, and a strange sense of guilt. But after all these agonizing days, the last string of his patience finally snaps. Yes! He suddenly sits up, grabs the toxic aunt by her arm, and slaps her right back. She is absolutely stunned. Disbelief is written all over her face because in this entire family, except for his wife, he owes absolutely nobody anything, and neither did his son. That slap was long overdue. By the time he visits the cemetery, his face is still covered in visible bruises. His left cheek is still swollen, with deep scratch marks running down his chin. If his wife hadn't stepped in to pull them apart that day, things would have gotten even worse. The grief should cut deeper, but Liu Ruyan is the one pushing Fang Yuan away. Sitting in the car, a biting cold seems to seep in from every direction. Fang Yuan feels completely numb, staring blankly out the window as Liu Ruyan sits beside him. Then a phone call comes in from He Yiguang on the literal day of Xiao Chi's funeral.
As the kid's mother, she seriously chose this exact moment to take it.
Answering another man's call, and He Yiguang's voice is just as arrogant as ever. Yet Liu Ruyan has this special patience for him, asking if he's busy a few more days. Let him wait. He stays silent. He feels her sharp gaze sweep over before she coldly hands him the phone.
She says Yiguang wants to talk. In the past, Fang Yuan would have smashed the screen.
But now that Xiao Chi is gone, what is the point of throwing tantrums anymore? Under her suffocating glare, he just smiles, takes the phone, and presses it to his ear. The glass is still warm with her touch, a warmth he used to desperately crave. Her scent, her voice, her warmth, he wanted every single piece of her. Now it just makes him sick, especially when He Yiguang's voice starts echoing through the speaker. Still acting so cheerful and refined, asking Fang Yuan if he is doing okay. Fang Yuan stays completely silent, feeling the heavy, suffocating aura of his wife next to him. He knows if he says one wrong word, she will kick him out of the car. Bro, she has actually done it before, abandoning him in a freezing, snowy blizzard. All because he called He Yiguang in front of her, warning him to back off. But Liu Ruyan lost her mind in rage, protecting her precious lover. She smashed his phone and threw him out, leaving him to walk 2 hours in ice. He suffered a massive fever for a whole week, and she never came to look. Only little Xiao Chi stayed by his bed, pressing a tiny, innocent hand to his forehead. Hearing him call out for daddy was the only reason Fang Yuan chose to live. If that child ever disappeared, he would have absolutely no place left in this family. And now the boy is gone, dragging the very soul out of Fang Yuan's body.
He has zero will left to live, even as He Yiguang keeps calling his name.
He whispers, asking if he is okay after losing his kid, totally malicious. Keeping it low so Liu Ruyan cannot hear him gloating about Fang Yuan's absolute misery. Telling him he lost his only bargaining chip, and yeah, the kid was the only reason. Without Xiao Chi, he could have never married into this wealthy, toxic household. But with the boy dead, staying in this hellhole makes absolutely no sense. He never wanted this place to begin with, clearing his dry, aching throat to speak. He asks what he even fought for, whispering that he is giving her back. No, that is wrong. He apologizes, saying she was always his anyway, before the phone is violently snatched away. Liu Ruyan cuts the line, her face twisted in pure, furious disbelief. Like no shot, she actually demands to know what nonsense he is telling her lover. What is a grieving physical father even supposed to say to his wife's side piece? No more curses, just letting go. Letting the toxic lovers have each other because he is done holding on. Honestly, he does not even want his own life anymore as the rain starts falling. They bury little Xiao Chi, his tombstone showing a sweet picture from when he was 3. They were supposed to take a family portrait that day, but only he and Xiao Chi showed up. From morning to night, Yuan sits there surrounded by happy, smiling families. They are all chatting and laughing in perfect harmony, which just makes it worse. Under the photographer's guidance, all that joy only makes Yan and poor Xiao Chi look incredibly tragic. Honestly, Yuan can endure his wife Ruyan's hatred, but what about sweet little Xiao Chi? The sky is pitch black. On the cold tombstone, the little boy's photo does not even have a smile. Because on the day they took it, Xiao Chi was holding back his tears of disappointment. The poor kid just wanted to keep his dad happy. Suddenly, someone holds an umbrella over Yuan. Yuan bows his head in deep regret at the grave, praying Xiao Chi gets loving parents in his next life, so he never has to face such cold neglect again. Meanwhile, the rain continues to pour. Through the heavy downpour, a familiar figure approaches. It looks exactly like Ruyan. Yuan forces his heavy eyes open as her black trench coat brushes right past him. She kneels down to place something before the grave, and when she finally stands up, he realizes it is a toy racing car set, and his heart absolutely breaks. Overwhelmed and utterly confused, Yuan reaches out and instantly grabs Ruyan's sleeve. Terrified he might make a scene in front of everyone, she whispers, "We will talk at home." "What is that?" Yuan asks, sounding eerily calm. Ruyan glances back. It is a birthday gift for Xiao Chi. The kid asked her for it before, but she never had the time. He actually asked her? Yuan's completely lifeless face instantly terrifies Ruyan. Ruyan grabs his wrist back, asking what is wrong as his knees completely buckle. A sharp pain twists inside him. He collapses right before Xiao Chi's grave. His sweet boy. On his final birthday, he only had a fake toy. Yet he still smiled through it all. The boy definitely knew his dad bought it. But because Yuan claimed it was from his mom, Xiao Chi happily accepted the toy. He even smiled and said to thank her. God, the poor kid knew everything. He knew that all these years, his mother never truly loved him. She never got him a single present, yet now she brings this useless, late toy. What is the point now? Back home, the air is suffocating. Ruyan's father is waiting inside, leaning heavily on his wooden cane. His thick brows are furrowed with rage, but his voice softens when he sees Yan. "Go upstairs first," the old man says, and Yuan quietly nods. The grandpa is about to unleash absolute hell on Ruyan. Honestly, her father is the only person in this wealthy household who ever truly respected and supported Yuan. And that is only because Yuan's late father once saved the old man's life. When Yuan's family pillar collapsed, the Lius stepped in to repay the massive debt. They gave Yuan's mother an easy nanny job with great respect, paid her exceptionally well, and even put Yuan in the same school as Ruyan. Her father ordered Ruyan to look after him, and she actually complied back then. But Yuan was foolish enough to mistake that pity for love, falling for her completely. Now, the old man knows Ruyan was incredibly late to her own son's funeral. He is literally preparing to beat her. The nanny runs upstairs, begging Yuan to stop him. She desperately drags him by the arm, crying that the old man only listens to him. "Please go down and say something," she begs. "You have to go right now." But why should he care? Yuan used to love Ruyan with his entire soul. Back then, if she got scolded, he would feel 10 times worse than her. But all of that only mattered because Yuan actually loved her. Later on, though, he had to watch her run around day and night, exhausting herself for He Yiguang. Once his love died, only guilt was left. He wanted to take little Xiao Chi and leave. But every single time, Uncle Liu would look at him with those weary, sorrowful eyes. The old man would literally beg him to stay, if only for the sake of the kid. Or to fulfill his mother's dying wish. Honestly, he should have never agreed to stay and pack up Ruyan's things. Yuan only wore his simplest, most casual clothes. Looking inside his suitcase, absolutely nothing in there was his. Every single item belonged to little Xiao Chi. He even left his watch on the vanity. After making sure he had not taken a single thing that was not his, he let out a heavy sigh. Finally feeling a bit lighter, he quickly slipped past the nanny and headed downstairs. Downstairs, Liu Ruyan had already been beaten and was kneeling on the floor.
She had her hands on the ground, gritting her teeth.
She looked up with bloodshot eyes, locking gaze with Yuan, but he did not care anymore. Uncle Liu tossed his wooden cane aside and walked over. He was the only man Yuan respected. He was the one who gave Yuan and his mother a home, providing him with a great education.
Even at this absolute low point, Yuan was still incredibly grateful to his uncle.
Addressing him as uncle instead of dad, Yuan's mind suddenly flashed back to his wedding day with Ruyan.
On that day, Uncle Liu had taken Yuan's hand and gently placed it over Ruyan's. He earnestly pleaded with her, saying Yuan was a good kid and begging her to treat him right. It was just like the day Yuan and his mother first arrived, when Uncle introduced him to young Ruyan.
He told her Yuan was her older brother now, walking to school together.
He wanted them to get along, but back then things were different.
Back when they were younger, Ruyan actually smiled at him and looked out for him at school. She would wait for him after class to eat together. Honestly, she was so incredibly bright.
She was the center of attention, while Yuan was just completely ordinary.
He would always keep his head down around her, practically living in his worn-out, simple school uniform.
He was so incredibly introverted and shy that he could not even look her in the eyes. Still, he low-key loved that everyone at school knew Ruyan genuinely enjoyed hanging out with him. Everyone knew her dad owed his father a life, but she was sweet enough to overlook his awkwardness. She literally took him everywhere, but the moment He Yiguang showed up, everything completely shattered.
That sweet balance was broken. Suddenly, He Yiguang was the one waiting for her outside the classroom.
Even their quiet cafeteria lunches together were replaced by Yiguang. Honestly, this part is low-key heartbreaking. Yuan could not even figure out how Yiguang managed to slide into her life so seamlessly.
The exact details are a blur now, but he vividly remembers how it all started. At first, he did not even understand why Ruyan was suddenly acting so cold to him. That was until he overheard some classmates in the restroom talking about how clueless he was.
They joked that Ruyan was already dating Yiguang, yet Yuan kept tagging along like a massive third wheel.
Hearing the word dating completely crushed him, making him back away from Ruyan instantly. From that day on, he had enough self-awareness to stay far away from her. He made up excuses to stop eating or walking with her, actively avoiding her even at home.
But the moment he actually went to the cafeteria with a female classmate, Ruyan suddenly confronted him. She stood right by his table, staring down at him with that cold, condescending look. She sneered, asking if the real reason he stopped eating with her was because of a girlfriend.
Yuan was honestly just so confused. He really only wanted to stop being a third wheel. But by some crazy twist of fate, he ended up being the one who tore them apart. Look at this supposedly perfect couple now. They are finally paying the price. Liu Ruyan stands up from the floor, fully planning to give his spot back to He Yiguang. The slaps barely did anything to her, and she looks over at Fang Yuan with zero remorse. Fang Yuan just turns to Uncle Lufu, saying he left all his belongings in the bedroom.
He is officially packing up and moving out today to finally get this divorce done.
Fang Yuan had actually warned Liu Fu about this earlier, but the old man flat out refused.
He begged him to stay, desperate to stop him, just like he did years ago.
But deep down, the old man knows that now that little Xiao Chi is gone, there is no hope.
Fang Yuan has absolutely zero reason to stay in this mansion his late mother built.
At this point, Liu Ruyan is acting like an absolute NPC, totally clueless about their talk. "Where do you think you are going?" she demands, immediately setting her dad off. "Shut your mouth, you worthless daughter!" Liu Fu roars, making Liu Ruyan furrow her brows. Her eyes get complicated, suddenly realizing that, wait, Fang Yuan is technically her husband. She asks if she does not even have the right to know where he is going. Oh, so now she remembers he is her husband, even though she never once respected him? Lu Fu gets so angry his heart starts acting up, turning pale and clutching his chest. Fang Yuan rushes over to support him, telling his uncle to try and stay calm. Honestly, the father is devastated over this marriage completely falling apart. He knows his toxic daughter is entirely to blame for this whole mess. So he do not blame Fang Yuan at all, admitting it is his own fault. He sighs that he failed to raise her right, hurting Fang Yuan and failing his mother. Fang Yuan tells him to stop apologizing because none of this is his fault. As he helps the old man sit, he catches Liu Ruyan staring at him suspiciously. He coldly reminds her to actually start taking care of her own sick father. His cold, detached look actually makes his grief feel 10 times more devastating. But as he tries to walk past her, she suddenly grabs his arm. "Tell me exactly where you are going and why you are leaving," she demands.
The guy is completely checked out mentally, but her selfish brain just cannot process that. Having zero feelings left for this woman, he does not even give her a glance. He violently shakes off her grip. 3 days after finally leaving that toxic house, Fang Yuan collapses completely alone in his new place. This is low-key heartbreaking. He was diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer 2 months ago, which is wild. Even though he is undergoing treatment, he remembers the day he got the diagnosis. He actually tried to tell Liu Ruyan, but she just gave him a disgusted glare. That woman hated him to her core, and he only realized it way too late. His original plan was to get cured and take his son Xiao Chi far away. But now, he is about to join his son. And here is the real kicker. Little Xiao Chi only ran out into the street because Fang Yuan had collapsed in pain. The poor 5-year-old did not know how to call an ambulance, only his mom. Talk about a tragic twist of fate. He never expected how his life would end. As he slowly opens his eyes on his deathbed, he sees his old classmate, Shen Yuchu. Back in their school days, Shen Yuchu was a quiet girl from a poor family. But she was incredibly smart and always kept her head down, focusing on her studies. She was the complete opposite of a spoiled, high and mighty heiress like Liu Ruyan. Back then, Liu Ruyan arrogantly told him to stay away from her, calling her fake. Fang Yuan once defended him, but Liu Ruyan just lashed out, calling him a traitor. Our boy knew he wanted to be a doctor and was absolutely sure he would make it. But no shot did he expect to become his doctor's patient. His first patient back from studying abroad, standing by the bed in a white coat. He looks so clean and professional, which only highlights how incredibly miserable and pathetic Fang Yuan is. This moment takes him right back to high school, when he would always look at him with that deep stare.
And say, Fang Yan, the college entrance exam is right around the corner.
You should really focus on your studies instead of constantly messing around with Liu Ruyan. But our boy was blind back then, thinking she was going abroad to study. He had to go, no messing around. Every single time he said that, Shen Yuchu looked at him with the most complicated expression. Looking back now, he finally realizes what was actually going through his head. Chasing someone who does not love you, trust me, it always ends in pure, heartbreaking tragedy. Fang Yuan is the textbook example of this, but at least Dr. Shen saved him. Dr. Shen saved him. Wiggling his stiff fingers to force a small smile. Hi, Dr. Shen. But maybe he did not want to talk. Dr. Shen just sent a nurse. Honestly, a neighbor had to bring him here. The medical bills are unpaid, and now the nurse is asking for his family's number. He just smiles and says he has no parents or family, making the nurse feel incredibly bad. The nurse gets much gentler, saying Dr. Shen wants to take him for a scan and do a full checkup, but he just weakly pulls on his old jacket. He left the Li family completely empty-handed. None of it was his anyway, and he was terrified Liu Ruyan would demand it all back. He seriously never wants to see her again. His jacket is literally years old. It barely keeps him warm, cuffs covered in lint. It looks pretty sad, so he hides his hands and slowly stands up. No need, he tells her. I just passed out from exhaustion. My body is perfectly fine. Only Uncle Liu respected him there. Everyone else saw him as a parasite. Accusing him of scheming against Liu Ruyan just to get her pregnant with his kid? Just so he could secure his spot as the heiress's husband. Because of that, all these years. Zero respect, zero husband perks. No love, living worse than a servant. He basically built a thick skin, both mentally and physically. The nurse still looks pretty skeptical. I mean, his face looks just as pale as the critical patients next door. Of course his face looks pale. The poor guy is dealing with late-stage stomach cancer, but he is keeping it a total secret. Back when Xiao Chi was around, he secretly visited hospitals looking for a cure. Rolling on the floor in absolute pain. Clutching his stomach, he takes the bill and heads to the window to pay. Vision fading completely. And then, boom, talk about a terrible plot twist, he spots Liu Ruyan wearing the exact coat he bought her, clinging to another man. He wishes he could just pass out right there so he wouldn't have to see that scarf. The scarf he personally hand-knit for her, which she claimed she lost. She always claimed she lost it. Turns out she gave it to He Yiguang. He Yiguang could have just thrown it away, but he chose this cruel way to humiliate him. Fang Yuan isn't surprised. He actually feels a deep, strange peace. Maybe at that exact second, his wife, Liu Ruyan, finally killed off all his love, burying it with their son.
He woke up from the dream with a dead son and absolutely nothing.
Meanwhile, she got everything she wanted.
Standing there in the crowded hospital, his mind wanders back to the endless years of disrespect.
Like when He Yiguang used the scarf he gifted her as a literal cleaning rag. Or when he stayed up all night waiting for her, only to see her lover post a picture of them together online. Even the scarf he hand-knit stitch by stitch ended up on He Yiguang. He secretly learned that from his mother just to make her a gift,
Hoping for just one smile.
Instead, she told him to never waste his breath again, reminding him that all his efforts were completely useless. But he just wanted to make up for the past. Back then, only his little boy stood by his side, clutching his clothes and telling him not to cry. Silly kid. Real love is never cold. But now, his son has been dead for 2 weeks. And Fang Yuan is basically surviving on heavy painkillers. His failing body is just constant agony. Every time he throws up, he feels like a completely empty shell. Now, even drinking water hurts. He can only fall asleep clutching his son's favorite teddy bear, always wondering if his boy suffered this much at the end.
Xiao Chi didn't have medicine.
He must have died in pure pain because his father failed him. As his consciousness fades, a sudden knock sounds at the door. If not for the physical torment, he would think death is calling. But seeing Dr. Shen outside makes things even more complicated.
This guy was never this persistent back in school.
He used to ignore him completely. Yet now, the doctor tells him his condition is extremely critical, demanding he go to the hospital immediately. He is a good doctor. He can spot the dying look instantly. Shen Yuqiu hasn't changed much. Still sharp and still looking as arrogant as ever. But proud people like him hate being insulted. And Fang Yuan doesn't want to drag him down. So he deliberately acts like a bitter, ungrateful jerk,
Asking if the doctor gets a fat commission for pushing all these extra tests.
Dr. Shen's eye literally twitches at the insult. Honestly, who would tolerate a patient like this? Dying alone. He swallows his pills and draws the curtains, ready for the end. Looking downstairs, Fang Yuan spots 2 figures, Shen Yuqiu and Liu Ruyan. He wonders how she even found this place, especially at a time like this. Shouldn't she be with He Yiguang? Apparently, the two are in a massive argument. Seeing things are about to get physical, he completely ignores his failing health. He rushes downstairs to step between them, suppressing the painful itch in his throat.
Too weak to even look up, he asks what she wants, but she remains cold.
She stands in the chilly evening wind, her long coat fluttering around her. The moonlight hits her sharp features, making her look incredibly distant and detached. Her glare towards Shen Yuqiu is filled with pure hostility, just like in school. Back then, whenever she saw Shen Yuqiu borrowing his things or helping him out, she would throw a tantrum for hours and always confront Fang Yuan in anger. She would mockingly ask him if he had no hands of his own. She never let him get close to other girls, yet she gave everything to He Yiguang. She saved all her warmth for him, which is crazy because Fang Yuan once loved her. He distanced himself from everyone for her sake, but now he is finally choosing himself. Shielding Shen Yuqiu behind his back, he gently tugs her sleeve to make her leave. The silent tension between Shen Yuqiu and Liu Ruyan starts to flare up again. Honestly, if it was not for Fang Yuan begging, she would have never walked away. Seeing this, Liu Ruyan's expression turns into a freezing storm of pure rage.
She sneers, asking why he abandoned his comfortable life at home to run off here.
She mockingly accuses him of running away to rekindle things with his first love. But to her, being neglected by his wife and hated by everyone is a good life. To her, even losing their child is part of that good life. She always hated him. He understood her humiliating him, since she blamed him for ruining her future with He Yiguang. But since he is dying anyway, she should not have come. He is done with this life. He tells her to save that good life for He Yiguang, wishing them a happy marriage. He wishes them a house full of children, speaking with absolute calmness. There is no screaming or crying, just like the day he walked out of her house.
He says it so casually, like he is simply choosing to skip the next meal. A tiny flash of surprise flickers in her eyes after all these days of silence.
She probably thought his divorce request was just an impulsive reaction to Xiao Chi's death. After all, he had tried leaving before, but those attempts always fizzled out.
It makes sense why she is skeptical, coldly asking Fang Yuan if he has really decided.
But this is his final, most unwavering choice, and nothing will change it.
He asks if his departure is not exactly what she wanted, leaving her completely speechless. She finally nods with a mocking laugh, warning him that he better not come begging. She warns him not to regret it as she walks away, leaving him in silence.
Fang Yuan silently wonders if he even has a future, and later he sees He Yiguang's post.
The post says he finally got his wish, showing off a brand new ring.
Meanwhile, the cancer is rapidly spreading inside him, and he has no idea how long he has.
Yet he faces it with a smile, almost looking forward to his own death.
At least on that day, he will finally be reunited with his beloved son, Xiao Chi. He misses his boy so much, but as for Liu Ruyan, he realizes he has not missed her once. In the past, he used to worry about her constantly, taking care of everything. He would pack her bags and manage the entire household just to make her happy.
Our main character spent years playing the perfect husband, cooking hangover soup for his wife after her endless drinking parties.
Yet she shared a bed with him while secretly calling her male bestie, He Yiguang, in the dead of night.
Our male lead did everything for her, but the guy constantly by her side was always He Yiguang. She never answered his calls when traveling. The only few times someone picked up was always He Yiguang, who had naturally taken his place by her side. The guy would smugly tell our main character that Liu Ruyan was already asleep. He even mocked him. No wonder she hates you. So our main character just told him to take care of her.
The villain scoffed, obviously.
But did you actually think of yourself as her real husband? If you hadn't tricked her into getting pregnant with your kid years ago, did you really think she would have married you? Honestly, our guy was left completely speechless.
But honestly, letting go of her actually made his life feel much lighter.
He still visited the hospital just to buy himself a little more time. Not to get cured, but just to grab enough meds to survive until Christmas. His late son Xiao Chi loved Christmas. If they could finally reunite on that day, the kid would be so happy, walking through the crowded, busy streets. He looked so sickly and fragile, even when completely bundled up in a heavy coat and scarf. His clothes literally hung off his bony frame as he grabbed his meds and headed out. Suddenly, Dr. Shen rushed out in her white lab coat, making him turn around. She walked up with a deep frown, eyes locked onto his pale face. He quickly pulled up his scarf, terrified she would notice how sick he was. Because unless you are terminally ill, no normal person loses this much weight this fast. Seeing his sickly, fragile state, Shen Yuchu looked like she wanted to say something. But she just sighed heavily instead and asked where he was going. He spoke softly, but she insisted on walking him to the train station.
Seeing someone actually care for him is low-key heartbreaking.
Before he could even refuse, Shen Yuchu was already walking toward the entrance. This road is always crowded, proving he is not the only one fighting a terminal illness.
At least he was not alone, as Dr. Shen spoke softly beside him. She asked if Liu Ruyan had misunderstood things after her last visit.
Knowing how jealous his wife used to get, our guy just shook his head. He quietly revealed they had divorced, which completely shocked Dr. Shen. Admitting she was surprised, she recalled how Liu Ruyan had confronted her back then.
She threatened me not to go, saying that you? Dr. Shen looked down at their shadows.
With a quiet laugh, she noted how hypocritical and contradictory Liu Ruyan really was.
She warned her to stay away, claiming she only saw him as a brother.
Our male lead stopped. When did she say that? Suddenly, memories before He Yiguang appeared came rushing back. Back then, Liu Ruyan would suddenly run up to him out of nowhere. She would steal his soda and drink directly from his cup.
Then she would kiss his cheek, teasingly telling him to avoid cold drinks.
She always claimed those drinks as hers, but that was so long ago. It had been so long that he almost forgot they ever shared such sweet memories.
Everyone could see their chemistry back then, and his wife never tried to deny it.
He remembered following her under a beautiful golden sunset that stretched her shadow long.
Under the trees, he looked into her affectionate eyes and asked why she didn't explain.
Fang Yuan snaps back, asking what there even is to explain in this suffocating tension.
Liu Ruyan blinks, opening her mouth as if she wants to explain herself. But their driver pulls up to take them home. Once they return, she heads straight to her father's study alone.
She stays locked in there for hours, and from that day on, everything changes.
Liu Ruyan suddenly goes completely cold, never inviting him out to eat anymore.
She stops picking him up entirely, and when he tries to visit her, she just glares and tells him to stop bothering her. He has no idea what went wrong. He tries everything to please her, but it is all completely useless. Then He Yiguang shows up. Suddenly, she won't even drink the soda Fang Yuan buys her. No more kisses, no more warmth. She just drifts further and further away. When her friends ask if she's still together with Fang Yuan, she just scoffs. They ask why she is still messing around with He Yiguang. She just frowns. She snaps that Fang Yuan is just a brother, and if it was not for his dad, he would not even deserve that title. Honestly, this toxic girl is an absolute villain. Back then, her face darkened as she gave him a chilling warning. Fang Yuan. You only live here because of your father. There is no other reason. Do not go around telling people we have a relationship. Before you speak, ask yourself if you even deserve me. Those brutal words shattered his heart, and even his mother warned him not to aim too high. They were just guests living under the Liu family's roof, so they had to walk on eggshells. So from that moment on, he completely locks away his foolish feelings and desires, waiting for them to slowly wither away. But here is the craziest part. His own mother orchestrates a setup and puts Liu Ruyan in his bed. After that, his entire life became a cycle of regret and pain. Now, standing right in front of Shen Yuchu, he finally lets it go, stating clearly that he and Liu Ruyan have absolutely no relationship. Those indifferent words take only a few hours to reach Liu Ruyan's ears. Under the cold, bleak night sky, Liu Ruyan stands right beside her dark car. Wearing only a dress after shedding her coat, smoke curls around her fingertips. The mist wrapping around her makes her look effortlessly alluring and beautiful. What do you mean we have no relationship? Fang Yuan, I literally gave birth to your child. She actually remembers they have a kid, but she always treated little Xiao Chi like a total embarrassment. Shen Yuchu must have told her, but he is too exhausted to even care anymore. He just smiles faintly. Once the kid is gone, they really will be nothing to each other. Liu Ruyan instantly chokes on her words as her cigarette burns down to the filter.
Just as the embers burn her finger, she looks at him with sudden tenderness. Fang Yuan.
We can have another child. But no, there is only one Xiao Chi. There will never be another. Still, he just plays along with her words. Sure, you and He Yiguang will have plenty of kids, but I just want a quiet place to spend my remaining days. He just wants peace. But Liu Ruyan asks him back, her voice laced with sudden jealousy. Are you going to let Shen Yuchu have your children? Fang Yuan's head throbs too much to notice her phrasing. He just wants to escape this toxic woman, hoping they never cross paths again before he dies. Every single glance reminds him of their lost child, Xiao Chi. Even his voice carries a desperate, final resolve as he tells her, sure, believe whatever you want. He turns to leave, but Liu Ruyan panics, demanding to know where he is going. She grabs his arm with a desperate grip, actual panic finally breaking through her cold face. Did you forget you are still my husband? Oh, not for much longer. Cold wind rushes down his throat, bringing a sweet, metallic taste of blood. Liu Ruyan stares at him with searching eyes, trying to figure out if he is actually lying. After a moment, she has her answer. Fang Yuan. Your threats are as pathetic as ever, she sneers. Do you really think you can survive without me? But is he really bluffing? No shot anyone would play with their own life like that. Truth is, with or without her, his body is failing, and he is running out of time. This whole petty game is just her toxic way of forcing him back by withholding all their divorce assets. She is going completely out of her way to humiliate him, even kicking him out of his apartment. So while he is left completely homeless, she is already moving on to marry someone else. Bro, who even remarries less than a month after their own son passes away? That is actually insane.
But Ruyan did exactly that. News of her wedding with He Yiguang was already spreading everywhere.
It reached his ears through endless gossip. Talk about low-key heartbreaking for our main character.
Her family was absolutely furious, while her rivals were probably throwing a party over the drama.
He knows exactly how much trash people are whispering about him behind his back. But at this point, he just listens to the gossip like a joke because he is finally done playing his part. Why should he care anymore? Right then, He Yiguang actually has the nerve to call his phone.
Fang Yuan was just swallowing his medicine with warm water, feeling the bitter pain burn deep inside.
Fighting the urge to throw up, he answers, only for the guy to brag about marrying Ruyan. He says the wedding is late next month, but honestly, what does that have to do with him?
Not wanting to waste a single breath on them, he just tells him congratulations.
Then he hangs up to continue taking his pills, but he had no idea what was happening. When He Yiguang made that mocking call, Ruyan was actually standing right next to him.
She looked completely drained and exhausted, showing absolutely zero joy for an upcoming bride.
Maybe she finally realized that his demand for a divorce was real. He had zero feelings left for her. And he truly had nowhere to go, left wandering the streets like a stray dog. When her name flashes on his screen next, he figures she is just calling to mock him.
Clutching his heavy luggage at the busy train station entrance, he watches the endless crowd of strangers rush past. Then Ruyan speaks over the line, her voice sounding strangely distant. Fang Yuan, I will give you one last chance.
Do you want to come back? Hearing that, his eyes start to burn with tears. She sounds almost soft-hearted now, as if she is only asking him to return out of old affection.
But if she is so merciful, why did she never show that kindness to their son Xiao Chi while he lived? It is way too late for regrets. He tightly grips the small toy bear that belonged to his late son.
The stuffed animal still carries that sweet baby scent, almost holding on to the warm memory of his departed little boy.
Pressing his fingers against it, it feels as though he is touching his son's very soul. He speaks quietly into the phone. Ruyan, I am never coming back. Never again. He looks down into the plastic eyes of the toy bear, as if locking eyes with his son's spirit. On the other end, her voice completely breaks as she begs, I was wrong, and I apologize for my mother too.
But Fang Yuan just sighs. Actually, I wanted to divorce you 2 years ago, but your father refused. That is the only reason I held you back from He Yiguang, and for that, I am truly sorry.
Without waiting for a response, he hangs up the call right before boarding the bus. Suddenly, a text from his Dr. Shen Yuchu pops up. Fang Yuan, your late-stage stomach cancer is terminal.
Why are you not getting treatment? In the end, she manages to track him down right on the beach.
But he just wanted to fulfill his son's final wishes, keeping a small checklist of things to do. He wants to finish them all in his remaining days. The first was celebrating his birthday with his mom.
He crossed that one off. The second was a family beach trip, but they are divorced now. So basically, Fang Yuan finally fulfills Xiao Chi's wish of being his only true family.
He stands on the beach, feeling the soft, damp sand beneath him.
Gentle waves wash over his feet, the endless blue ocean stretching into the horizon.
But his tears are staining this beautiful view. He desperately wants to make things right.
Yet he can't stop sobbing. Honestly, if only Xiao Chi were still alive today.
If Fang Yuan had kept his promise to bring him here, the poor kid wouldn't have left.
This world with so many regrets. But back then, Fang Yuan was always distracted. He thought they needed Liu Ruyan to be a whole family. But look at him now.
He is standing on this beach, completely alone, the biting wind making his sick body ache. He barely forces himself back to the hotel, but the moment he reaches his room, Shen Yuchu is standing there like a phantom, her face blurry in his failing vision.
She looks absolutely furious, but her professional instincts as a doctor kick in instantly.
She immediately snaps. Fang Yuan, do you have any idea that you are literally begging for death?
Seriously, a dying patient running off this far instead of getting treated? Talk about a death wish. Before he can even grab his painkillers, Fang Yuan collapses. Thankfully, a doctor is right there. Otherwise, no shot he would ever survive to complete Xiao Chi's third and final wish. Dr. Shen tries to rush him to the hospital, but in his terminal condition,
It's honestly just wasting hospital fees, and he has practically zero money left on him. To make things sadder, Shen Yuchu has been paying all his medical bills out of her own pocket.
She didn't come from money either. Back in school, she always wore oversized, worn-out uniforms.
Her cuffs were completely frayed and faded, showing just how hard she had it.
Unlike the insanely wealthy Liu Ruyan, Shen Yuchu's life has always been a financial struggle. Because he knows she is struggling, Fang Yuan is determined to pay her back every cent.
The woman he loved for 10 long years abandoned him, yet the one saving him now?
And paying his hospital bills is actually his old classmate, Shen Yuchu. This is low-key heartbreaking.
He quietly asks why she is doing this. No one has treated him this well in ages. Shen Yuchu stays silent, gently wrapping a warm, clean scarf around his neck.
She softly asks if he was good to her back then, because he claims he cannot remember.
Turns out being this sick really messes with your brain and robs you of your memory.
She whispers that his eyes only saw Liu Ruyan back then, so of course he forgot her.
And honestly, you can hear the deep, lingering resentment hidden in her voice.
As a doctor, Shen Yuchu knows how to treat him, handing him some temporary medicine.
She looks at his pale, sickly face and speaks with heavy concern. Painkillers won't save you, Fang Yuan. You need to start chemotherapy immediately.
But here is the thing. Would chemo even save him? It would just drag him through pure torture again.
He doesn't want to lose his hair and look utterly miserable at the very end.
He wants to die looking decent, so Xiao Chi can actually recognize his dad in heaven.
He refuses to scare his son. Shen Yuchu's painful silence is all the answer he needs.
She is an incredible doctor, but when up against late-stage cancer,
absolutely no medical professional can promise a miracle or buy him more time. Fang Yuan holds the warm cup, completely at peace with his impending end.
He looks up and asks if she can do him one final favor.
Shen Yuchu looks away quickly, but he still catches the tears glinting in her eyes. She chokes out that if he wants her to plan his funeral, she won't do it. But he wouldn't. There's no way he'd drag a pure, innocent soul like her into this. Fang Yuan actually asks Shen Yuchu to take a photo of him looking this sick. He wants it sent to him after he passes away, standing on that seaside restaurant terrace. Right behind him is the breathtaking, endless ocean, and he changes into clean clothes.
Honestly, his body is just too weak to stand in the cold ocean breeze for long.
Shen Yuchu does her best, snapping pictures of him posing with the vast sea.
This is low-key heartbreaking. He wants to show these to his late son, Xiao Chi.
To prove his dad finally fulfilled his dream as he leans against the terrace railing. He flashes his first real smile in days while Shen Yuchu puts her heart into the photos. She wants him to look good, but a dying patient can only look so well. But just as he forces a smile to capture one last beautiful memory, things go south. Out of nowhere, a figure steps up behind Shen Yuchu and silently snatches the phone away. It is his toxic wife scrolling through every single photo of him by the ocean.
Seeing Shen Yuchu took them all, the peaceful mood instantly shatters into pieces.
Bro, she literally deletes every single photo. No shot she just did that. Fang Yuan watches as Liu Ruyan grips the phone so hard her knuckles turn white. She glares at them like they are trash, demanding to know how long she has searched. Accusing him of sneaking around, she prompts Shen Yuchu to quickly step in. The doctor wants to explain his terminal illness, but Fang Yuan gently pulls her back. He holds her arm just to stay standing, coldly wishing Liu Ruyan a happy wedding. Spying He Yiguang standing right behind her, they soon end up dining together. This awkward setup used to happen back in school, but so much has changed since. Yet He Yiguang is exactly the same, still acting like the loudest person in the room. He even serves Fang Yuan food, completely blind to how incredibly absurd this whole dinner is. The guy casually asks how Fang Yuan lost so much weight in just a few days. And honestly, he is not just thin, his face is totally pale. At those words, Liu Ruyan looks over, her eyes suddenly filled with what looks like heartbreak. But Fang Yuan knows it is just a delusion. She would never care about him. Then Liu Ruyan sneers, asking if this is how Miss Shen takes care of people. Shen Yuchu is just a classmate, a doctor who literally abandoned her work to find him. She only came to beg him to get chemotherapy, staying by his side to help. He is incredibly grateful, so what right does Liu Ruyan have to insult her? Finally, our boy stands up for himself and tells her it is none of her business.
Honestly, this is the first time he has ever stood up to her like this. He used to be her loyal shadow, even when she despised him and their son. Yet he always treated her as his wife, cooking for her and waiting up late.
From cleaning her up after late nights to staying awake whenever she fell ill. But that devoted husband died alongside Xiao Chi, leaving He Yiguang to break the awkward silence. He pats Liu Ruyan's hand, telling her he knew Fang Yuan would be just fine.
By joking that her anxiety was pointless, he tries to lighten the mood.
Liu Ruyan immediately pulls her hand back, and that is when Fang Yuan notices something. He Yiguang is not wearing his ring anymore, but the one on Liu Ruyan's finger?
It is the exact wedding band from her marriage with Fang Yuan.
Throughout their entire marriage, he was the only one who ever wore his ring. This marriage was a painful one-man show, but he is done playing now. He checked out of her life, and now she decides to wear it. How ironic. He Yiguang smiles, saying, Fang Yuan, I remember you used to love spicy food the most.
He Yiguang says this while placing a piece of grilled mutton into Fang Yuan's bowl.
The pungent spice instantly irritates Fang Yuan's throat, but Shen Yuchu quickly pushes the plate away, declaring that the past is the past. What he liked back then might not be what he likes now. Besides, spicy food is literally fatal for stomach cancer.
Shen Yuchu tries to save him, but He Yiguang immediately starts teasing them.
Dr. Shen still loves protecting Fang Yuan so much, He Yiguang jeers, saying he knew they were a perfect match.
It seems they finally ended up together, and he hasn't even congratulated them yet. Have you said enough? Liu Ruyan asks, her voice incredibly stiff. Just shut your mouth! Panic and pure embarrassment instantly flash across He Yiguang's face. Honestly, it is wild that Liu Ruyan would actually snap at her favorite person like this. She always adored He Yiguang the most, shielding him completely and never saying a single harsh word. Yet now she turns completely cold over a simple joke, and back in their school days, it was different. She used to join He Yiguang in mocking Fang Yuan and Shen Yuchu all the time. Whenever Fang Yuan ate with Shen Yuchu, He Yiguang would crash the meal just to cause a scene, making all kinds of cheap, suggestive remarks, while Liu Ruyan just stood right by his side.
Her gaze back then was always freezing cold before she would casually drop a harsh comment.
She would tell them to stop talking nonsense, mockingly pairing them up just like He Yiguang always did.
But now she refuses to let He Yiguang say a single word about that piece of meat.
Now, Liu Ruyan pushes the meat back toward Fang Yuan, and he absolutely loathes her.
She always forces him to swallow her demands, claiming one single bite won't hurt him.
If I eat this, will you finally be satisfied? Fang Yuan thinks, picking up his chopsticks like a man facing death. His eyes turn red because he used to love her. Then he stayed with her out of pure guilt, but now he has absolutely nothing left in his life. Yet she still wants to drive him to his grave, waiting for her response. Under Liu Ruyan's completely stunned gaze, Fang Yuan actually eats the piece of meat.
He chews and swallows it, prompting Shen Yuchu to suddenly snatch his chopsticks away in sheer panic.
Are doctors always this dramatic? Liu Ruyan scoffs, saying it is not like it is poison.
But it won't kill him. He does not want to die. He just wants to escape her.
It is honestly so ironic. Back when they were married, he constantly begged just to see her face.
Yet she stayed out all night, and now that they are divorced, she keeps showing up when he no longer cares. Out of nowhere, an agonizing pain hits his stomach and he clutches his mouth. His face turns paper white, forcing Shen Yuchu to jump up in shock.
Shen Yuchu snaps that she is supposed to be Fang Yuan's wife before his voice abruptly cuts off.
Fang Yuan grips his hand tightly while Liu Ruyan watches, completely confused why a simple stomachache is causing this.
Before she can even finish her sentence, Fang Yuan begins coughing violently. Hunched over in agonizing pain, he looks down to see a splash of bright red blood in his palm.
Since when does a simple stomachache cause someone to cough blood?
Ever since they got back from the beach, Liu Ruyan keeps showing up more and more frequently.
Meanwhile, Fang Yuan looks worse by the day, prompting her to drag him toward the hospital. He slaps her hand away, telling her to stop annoying him, and his cold determination leaves Liu Ruyan completely panicked.
You never told me you had a bad stomach, she stammers, her throat completely dry.
His hoarse voice sounds like a rusty saw cutting through dead wood, tearing apart their remaining bond. It carves a massive, permanent divide between them, and he whispers that it is just a stomachache.
He tells her to go care for He Yiguang instead, asking if she is afraid he will marry Fang Yuan. Liu Ruyan desperately grips his cold wrist, trying to warm him up, but his pulse is barely even there. At this point, Fang Yuan is completely checked out. He doesn't care about being Miss Liu's husband anymore and just wants her gone. Sure, Liu Ruyan might have other kids in the future, but she will never have her son Xiao Chi back. Ever since their boy passed, she barely showed any real grief. Talk about a cold villain. Yet here she is again, standing in front of him with that fake tragic look on her face.
She actually has the nerve to ask him if the child was more important to him than her.
Seriously, she asks if he cared more about their late son or his own wife. Absolutely wild. Fang Yuan just bites his lip, swallowing down the absolute bitterness of the moment. He tells her straight up, if it wasn't for their son, this marriage would have ended ages ago. At that moment, it looks like something inside Liu Ruyan finally shatters.
He pushes her away, locks himself upstairs, and starts swallowing handfuls of painkillers.
This is getting low-key heartbreaking. But before the pills can even kick in, a sudden, brutal pain tears through his stomach. It feels like his organs are shutting down, as if a giant hand is tearing him apart from the inside. This is a slow, agonizing torture ripping through his entire body. He stumbles into the bathroom, coughing and throwing up violently. And there it is, bright red blood. When he looks out the window, he spots something. Liu Ruyan is still standing down there in the dark, frozen like a statue in the cold wind. Completely drained, he collapses onto the bed and loses track of time. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing again. No surprise, it is his toxic wife calling. She sounds completely wasted, slurring her words and barely making sense.
Then she says it. Fang Yuan, I miss our boy.
He just hangs up and blocks her toxic number. Honestly, good for him. Our guy blames himself for everything, seeing this terminal illness as his final punishment. Ready to accept death, he still has a couple of things left to do first. His late son had two final wishes. The first was to adopt a little kitten. The poor kid just wanted to be like the other children at school. But when Liu Ruyan heard that, she just looked absolutely disgusted. She basically told the kid that raising him was already too much work. She did not want another bond holding them together. Fang Yuan could tolerate her treating him badly, but speaking to their son like that was crossing the line. They had a massive blowout over it, with her calling him greedy and demanding. She accused him of pushing her limits, so he told her straight up she did not deserve to be a mother. With a cold laugh, she snaps back, "Do you think I actually want to be a mother?" Fang Yuan was so furious he lunged forward, but he still could not bring himself to hit her. Instead, she shoved him onto a pile of shattered glass, leaving his hands completely bloody. She walked out, and Fang Yuan assumed the driver had already taken their son to school. But the poor kid had been hiding in the house the entire time, trying to wipe the blood off his dad's hands. He was crying hysterically, his tiny face completely wrinkled with worry. Wiping his tears, the poor kid begged, "Dad, please, I do not want a kitten anymore." Never again. That broke his heart. His son asked for so little, so Fang Yuan went out and bought a kitten anyway. It was a tiny, soft, snow-white little kitten. The kitten was so quiet and gentle in the boy's arms, and he absolutely loved it. He took care of it and named it Yuan Yuan. Luckily, the toxic mom was away during those days. But the second she returned, she threw the kitten right out the door. The kid tried to say it was fine. Deep down, Fang Yuan knew his son was devastated. Now he steps into a pet shop. He just wants to look at the kittens for his son one last time. Some are lazy, but his is always lively. One kitten is scratching the glass with its pink paws, completely snow white. But that black patch on its ear, he instantly recognizes Yuan Yuan. The little guy got quite chubby now. When they first got him, he was so small that Xiao Chi could hold him with both hands. But when Liu Ruyan heartlessly threw the cat out, Xiao Chi said nothing. Yet his pillow was soaked with tears the next morning. Seeing Yuan Yuan is like seeing Xiao Chi again. Unable to hold back his emotion, he taps on the glass, alerting the staff. A clerk shoves him back. He points at the cat, yelling that it belongs to him.
He is not crazy.
He is just overwhelmed with the absolute shock of finding his lost pet.
Since Xiao Chi's cat is found, does that mean he can finally see Xiao Chi again?
But guess who shows up to pick up Yuan? Not Xiao Chi, but the rival He Yiguang.
He walks right into the shop and locks eyes with Fang Yuan. Then he looks at the kitten and asks if Fang Yuan likes Belle. Seeing the kitten get carried out feels exactly like watching He Yiguang steal his wife. Watching Xiao Chi's cat snuggle up to him while He Yiguang brags about how sweet Belle is. He even asks if Fang Yuan wants to pet him. But that is Yun Yuan. Out of pure desperation, Fang Yuan lunges to grab his cat back. The sudden move startles He Yiguang, making him quickly stumble backward. He snaps at Fang Yuan, asking if he has a habit of stealing other people's things. But this is Xiao Chi's cat, not theirs. Fang Yuan completely collapses as a sharp, agonizing pain shoots through his stomach. He screams in agony while He Yiguang just stands there smugly enjoying the show. He mockingly says that Ruyan gave him this cat, so how could it belong to Fang Yuan? He accuses Fang Yuan of hogging Ruyan for years. Ain't no way. So Liu Ruyan actually took Xiao Chi's cat just to gift it to He Yiguang? How could she?
Xiao Chi was completely innocent. Honestly, when did all of this even begin?
When did Liu Ruyan start taking everything that belonged to Fang Yuan and giving it away? It probably started around her birthday, right after He Yiguang first appeared. From that moment, Liu Ruyan could only look at him. He was just so perfect. They looked like a match made in heaven, and she would get depressed on her birthday. Just because she did not get a gift from him. Our main character remembers her sitting on the steps. She was staring blankly at the moon, looking so young yet completely devastated. The pale moonlight hit her face, revealing nothing but a hollow emptiness in her eyes.
She turned to Fang Yuan and quietly asked if He Yiguang forgot her birthday.
She was talking about He Yiguang, of course. To make her happy, Fang Yuan hid his own heartache. He gave her a beautiful bracelet bought with his hard-earned part-time savings. He lied, saying maybe He Yiguang bought this for her, but Ruyan grabbed it without even looking. The very next day, she came to see him with He Yiguang right by her side. And right there on He Yiguang's wrist was the exact bracelet Fang Yuan had gifted her. That was just the beginning. Even the drival Uncle Liu assigned to him was ordered by Liu Ruyan to chauffeur He Yiguang around for some competition. So basically, Liu Ruyan stole Fang Yuan's design drafts and gave them to He Yiguang before handing a study abroad spot over too. When she stood before him that day, she did not show a shred of shame. She shamelessly told Fang Yuan that Yiguang needed this abroad spot more. Honestly, she claimed He Yiguang was just too talented to be held back. To make matters worse, that very same day, his mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Talk about a brutal double blow. Her ultimate dying wish was for Liu Ruyan to take Fang Yuan abroad with her. But since He Yiguang stole that opportunity, his mother's last wish was completely ruined. Fang Yuan sat by her bedside, devastated. He wept through the entire night, unsure if he was mourning his stolen future, or crying over his dying mother, or maybe it was just Liu Ruyan's heartless cruelty that broke him. Back then, before their son Xiao Chi was even born, Fang Yuan had no idea. A child's tears can be a lethal weapon, and his gentle, honest mother was driven to scheme. The night before they left, his mother actually drugged Liu Ruyan and Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan woke up in bed with Liu Ruyan, instantly realizing his mother's desperate move. She was terrified that if Liu Ruyan married He Yiguang, her son would have nothing left. She feared he would be left utterly helpless, but if Fang Yuan had known the wine was spiked, he never would have touched it. But of course, Liu Ruyan did not believe him. She choked him right there on the hotel bed, screaming, "Are you not already sleeping with Shen Yu?" She demanded to know what his game was, while Fang Yuan desperately gasped that he was clueless. She just laughed mockingly, tightening her grip. Her harsh words sliced deep. "You are just like your mother." A pair of natural-born leeches. Seriously, how is anyone this cruel? Bruised and battered, Fang Yuan went back to confront his mother. "What was your relationship with Uncle Liu?" Her face paled, her rapid breathing fogging up the oxygen mask. "Who told you that? Was it Liu Ruyan?"
His heart broke as he confirmed she said the mother failed to trap her.
So she sent her son.
His mother shook her head stiffly.
He wept, begging her for guidance on what to do.
That turned out to be the last thing he ever said to her.
In his nightmares, he knelt by her grave apologizing, but felt a pair of warm, soft hands instead.
Hands that smelled of a sweet, innocent child. It was Xiao Chi. But in a sudden flash, the boy's tiny hands turned freezing cold. His body went stiff. Fang Yuan held his son close, screaming for help. "Save my baby!" But absolutely no one answered. He could only watch as his child drew his last breath. Tears streamed down his face as he woke. Later, he finally learned the truth about his mother and Uncle Liu.
They had almost ended up together, but she got sick.
Knowing her son's deep feelings for Liu Ruyan, she wanted to bring them together.
Since Liu Ruyan had He Yiguang by her side, his mother bore all the hatred just to protect him. She chose to play the villain in her final days, trying to secure a comfortable life for him. But Fang Yuan let her down completely. Honestly, this whole story is low-key heartbreaking. He couldn't even protect his own son, and now he's diagnosed with the same terminal illness. The days ahead are so agonizingly long, just like his past in this empty house, where he spent years of his life, day after day, waiting for Liu Ruyan to come home. But why is Fang Yuan already so exhausted after just 30 minutes? It seriously feels like his life is draining away at this rate. He doesn't even know if he'll make it to Christmas, which used to be Xiao Chi's favorite holiday.
This year's gift was supposed to be the cat, Yuan, and for her sake, Fang Yuan swallowed his pride and came all this way just to see Liu Ruyan.
He was waiting downstairs at the old mansion when Liu Ruyan finally arrived.
With his face pale as death, he watched her walk up with her companion. Her voice actually sounded gentle for once, asking why he wasn't resting upstairs. She asked about his terrible complexion, wondering if his stomach issues were still acting up.
Stomach issues? No, that's insane. It's terminal cancer, and it's not getting better.
Fang Yuan dodged her hand when she tried to feel his forehead, saying he was only there to ask one thing.
Did she really give Yuan to He Yiguang? She didn't even know the cat's actual name.
She just gave Xiao Chi's cat to He Yiguang, who immediately renamed it Lingding.
He can't even laugh or cry. He just wanted to calmly get the cat back, since it was his son's. Hearing this, her eyes grew incredibly complicated.
She reached out, gently caressing his pale face.
The guilt on her face was impossible to ignore as she urged him to go upstairs first. She wanted to discuss the cat another day, but seriously, does he even have another day?
He yelled out that he only wanted Xiao Chi's cat, his voice cracking from the strain.
The surge of anger triggered a violent coughing fit, leaving him doubled over as his face flushed red.
As his vision went completely blurry, Liu Ruyan rushed over to pat his back and help him breathe. Fang Yuan slapped her hand away, but she panicked and begged him not to worry. She immediately pulled out her phone, saying she would call He Yiguang right now. Glancing at the empty coffee table, she snapped, demanding why nobody had poured him a glass of water. She asked if everyone was dead. It's actually crazy that she suddenly cares if he's thirsty.
After she finished the phone call, Fang Yuan waited in silence for her response.
She promised she would get Yuan back. She begged him to wait there, seizing the absolute perfect moment. Fang Yuan immediately brought up the other major issue, asking about the post-divorce settlement. He asked if she could give him his share of the money because he desperately needs it. He explained that he had to pay back Shen Yuchu, who wasn't from a wealthy family at all. Shen Yuchu had spent way too much of his own savings taking care of him lately. To him, leaving this world with a clean slate was everything. But she asked if he only came for the cat. Both, Fang Yuan replied simply. Her eyes filled with a complicated mix of guilt, even with his frail, failing body. She reached into her handbag near the bed, pulled out a card, and handed it to him. The pin was Xiao Chi's birthday. Wow, so she actually remembered their late son's birthday. She remembered the date, but never showed up. As he took the card, she held on tightly, promising the money.
She made it clear this wasn't a divorce split, looking at him with absolute seriousness.
She begged Fang Yuan to wait for her to bring back Xiao Chi's cat. She promised they could start over and that she would completely redecorate Xiao Chi's room. She even asked if they could celebrate his next birthday together. But man, He won't make it to that birthday. Why couldn't she have done this sooner? Why couldn't she have just agreed to spend time with their son back then? It's too late, Liu Ruyan. It's way too late. This wait literally felt like a whole lifetime. As the brutal pain of his illness surged again, he could only look back at the grand old mansion. He remembers the first time he and his mother walked in here, back when Liu Ruyan was still just an innocent girl. They got married in this very house, but right after, his mother tragically passed away. He tried drowning his sorrows in their new room, but she only found him annoying.
She literally kicked him out, and by the time she realized she was pregnant, it was already too late.
She was way past the window for an abortion, and during those brutal months, things got dark. Liu Ruyan repeatedly tried to harm herself just to get rid of the baby. She absolutely loathed this kid, so when Xiao Chi was finally born, she ignored him completely. To her, the boy was just a living proof of her shame. Our main character had to raise Xiao Chi all by himself, handling every doctor visit and medicine run alone. He kept him warm, dressed him, and gently lulled him to sleep. If a baby cried, his heart broke, but one tiny smile made all his struggles worth it.
Even as a kid, Xiao Chi knew his mother did not love him, or his dad.
To get his dad some affection, the poor kid would literally hurt himself or get sick on purpose. All just to force Liu Ruyan to come home? But this was low-key heartbreaking.
He just wanted Xiao Chi safe, constantly whispering to him that he did not need to do that.
Nothing in the world mattered more than his son's safety, so he begged him to stop. Besides, lying was wrong, but the boy simply would not listen. He was just a child who desperately wanted his parents to be together. Eventually, Liu Ruyan caught on, and even this tragic trick stopped working on her. When she finally heard about Xiao Chi's death, she actually thought it was just another desperate prank. In this cursed house, he met Liu Ruyan, lost his beloved mother, and suffered endless pain. He gained a son only to lose him too, and now he's completely reached his breaking point. As these painful memories flash through his mind, Liu Ruyan finally stumbles home in the dead of night. She's holding a pure white kitten, using its tiny paw to playfully boop his nose.
She tells him she brought back his beloved Yuan, but is it actually the same cat?
His vision is blurry, but as he reaches out, he instantly freezes because he knows this cat. The eyes are a completely different color, even if the markings on the ears look identical. It is about the same size, but it is just not him. Pure instinct tells him this is a fake, prompting her to ask what is wrong. Cradling the cat, she starts rambling about how she always thought pets would hurt the baby. She claims she refused back then only because she feared a pet might hurt their son.
She says she did not want him getting upset, which is honestly so hypocritical of her.
He just drops his hands, refusing to even touch the fake replacement.
This is not Yuan, he tells her, so why bring a fake to mock him?
If their late son knew, he would never forgive them for this cheap lie.
He tells her there is no point in lying anymore after he spent his whole life waiting.
He could not even save his son's cat, while she defensively asks what she's supposedly lying about.
He tells her again that this is not Yuan, his voice chillingly calm.
He demands to know where the real cat is, knowing she actually went to see her lover. Looking closely, he notices a fresh slap mark on her pale face. Her crumpled dress clearly shows she got into a massive physical fight with the guy.
She came home exhausted and stressed, yet she still tries to play nice with this substitute cat.
But the real Yuan is already dead, thrown off a building right after her call. That toxic trash, He Yiguang, killed the poor cat, and yet nobody can punish him. He feels absolute grief, but his soul has gone completely numb at this point. He is leaving, but she stops him. Liu Ruyan lets her cat slip from her arms, finally freeing up her own hands. She looks like she is begging, but what is there to beg for? Back home, all of his strength vanishes and his vision goes pitch black. He collapses, his legs give out, yet he is still whispering those same 3 words. He wanted to find his cat Xiao Chi, but before he can even search, he passes out right in front of her. The noise is deafening. Someone is banging on his door and screaming his name. He fights with everything to stay awake, but his mind is slipping into total darkness. Just faint, broken voices. A woman is screaming and violently smashing things around the room.
She literally grabs their family doctor by his collar, screaming that this is her husband.
Why did no one tell her he was sick? But he sees everything.
He realizes their family doctor is standing there, and right next to him is Shen Chu, looking completely silent.
He snaps back at Liu Ruyan, asking if she only realized her husband has terminal stomach cancer now that he is dying?
The doctor desperately tries to keep the peace, begging Miss Liu to calm down.
And then, boom, Shen Chu drops a massive bomb that changes everything.
She literally told him that Mr. Fang's life had nothing to do with her. Turns out he always knew.
He exhales slowly under the heavy mask.
Each rasping breath sounds exactly like a final countdown, making every gasp incredibly painful, yet so precious.
Liu Ruyan slowly approaches. And for the first time, he sees this incredibly proud woman completely shatter. She bows her head, reaching out to hold his hand, but terrified of hurting him. Her trembling hand just hovers in the air, looking exactly like a little child who just broke their absolute favorite toy.
Desperately trying to piece it back together, but having absolutely no idea where to even start.
After a moment, she buries her face in her hands. Suddenly, he hears it.
Her muffled sobs begin to echo through the ward, but honestly, he just wants all this loud arguing to stop. Too bad he is too weak to tell them to shut up.
Who knows how much time passes before Dr. Shen finally walks over.
His eyelids flutter open, barely catching a glimpse of the doctor's white coat standing right behind her.
Liu Ruyan tells him to get lost, screaming in a trembling voice that he is going to wake him. Her voice is completely raspy and cracked. She has been crying for hours. Her crying is low-key annoying him, but he never expected this cold woman to actually shed tears. And for him? But seriously, now that he's dying?
Ain't no way she's regretting it now. Shen Chu snaps back that he's her husband.
He asks if she ever cared about him for even a second, every word hitting her like a truck. He points out how she never stopped doubting him, even after they got married, and asks if she ever thought about his feelings. He just wanted to be her husband. Was that so wrong? Shen Chu feels it was all a waste. She whispers that she really didn't expect him to get sick. She says she never realized how agonizing it is for terminal patients who can't even swallow food.
Living on pills, where coughing blood is the easy part.
Suffering through bone-deep agony, forced to endure this unbearable pain hundreds of times every day.
But how could a woman like her know? She just thought he was overreacting to their cat's death.
Making a scene, she assumed he would eventually crawl back to her.
And yet they keep arguing by his bed, completely ignoring that he is literally on his deathbed.
Liu Ruyan silently tucks his hand back under the blanket, turning her back on Shen Chu. Aren't you a doctor? Can't you save Fang Yuan?
He gave up on living long ago, and honestly, nobody can save him now.
Shen Chu told the truth. Liu Ruyan, get out! Just go!
The room goes completely quiet as his senses fade into a blur. His limp hand gets lifted up, pressed right against Liu Ruyan's cheek. She starts kissing his palm, tears streaming down her face.
Why didn't you tell me you were sick instead of leaving over nothing?
You are not even fighting this illness, so what am I supposed to do?
Your heart only holds our child. Did you ever have room for me? Liu Ruyan literally slaps herself with his hand. Bro, this is actually crazy.
How could I be jealous of Xiao Chi, and even of Shen Chu?
We are husband and wife. Fang Yuan, wake up and hit me if you want.
She keeps shouting his name. He can hear it.
But he wants to let go. He sees Xiao Chi waving.
His son is calling out in the dark? Nah, that's low-key heartbreaking. He is terrified. He just wants to hold his son.
But Liu Ruyan holds on tight. Why won't she let him go even now?
A sharp needle pierces his skin, making him wince in absolute agony.
His toes curl up as the deep pain digs straight into his bones.
The medicine finally pumps into his veins, and the pain briefly fades away. But no drug can heal a broken soul while doctors rush around him. Panicked voices of doctors and nurses echo all around his hospital bed. Vitals are flatlining. He is slipping away. Once again, he sees his sweet boy sitting on the soft grass. The little guy is playing in the dirt, looking up with a smile. Dimples pop up on his chubby cheeks, eyes curving with pure joy. He sweetly calls out for his dad, and he desperately reaches out.
But that annoying voice keeps dragging him back.
The vision twists, and suddenly Liu Ruyan's face flashes before him.
She is begging him to stay, but he just wants to join Xiao Chi. He wants to say stop. Let him go.
But she refuses to stop, throwing fortunes at the best doctors around.
Honestly, no medicine can save someone who has completely given up on life.
He keeps trying to follow his son in his dreams, but reality drags him back.
Liu Ruyan literally refuses to let go until the monitor shows a heartbeat.
She dragged him back to life, proudly claiming she is his savior.
She says his life is hers now? Unbelievable!
A whole week passes, stuck in bed.
Liu Ruyan never leaves his side, but he knows his body is failing.
Just when he's at his limit, his worst nightmare walks right in.
Christmas Eve, He Yiguang shows up.
The guy is clearly loving this, just staring at how pathetic he looks. He is taking in every single miserable detail, muttering about instant karma.
But wait, major plot twist. He says this is actually Liu Ruyan's karma.
She played him for years. She never loved him.
They even want to take his cat away. Why are the voices in his ears so distant and broken?
Word after word, they crash right into his numb, dead-water heart.
Turns out, nobody got what they wanted. He Yiguang whispers that Fang Yuan must be so confused.
Why did his toxic wife hate their child?
He Yiguang leans in, delivering a fatal blow while Fang Yuan still has breath left.
Because she thought he loved Shen Yuchu, and He Yiguang was the one who lied to her.
He told her that Fang Yuan was planning to go abroad with Shen Yuchu to abandon her. But when Shen Yuchu dumped him, Fang Yuan settled for second best and trapped her instead. He made her have his baby, and she actually believed it.
He Yiguang bursts out laughing. His entire body is trembling with pure malice.
He actually squeezed out tears of twisted joy. Fang Yuan's chest is pounding violently. He can't even tell if this is rage anymore. But the mental torture doesn't stop. He Yiguang asks if he knew that when Xiao Chi died, Liu Ruyan was actually relieved.
She thought that with the kid gone, the humiliation of being tricked would finally be erased.
That way, she could start fresh with him. Honestly, this villain's logic is sickeningly hilarious.
She thought it was a beginning, but it was actually the end.
Forcing his heavy eyelids open, Fang Yuan barely manages to look up.
He weakly moves his fingers.
Liu Ruyan rushes in, grabbing He Yiguang's arm and screaming at him to get out. He Yiguang just laughs, screaming back that she deserves every single bit of this pain. She deserves it, but Fang Yuan knows he deserves it even more. After that, Liu Ruyan completely loses it, screaming and cursing at everyone.
It's just a pathetic, weak breakdown. Now she tries to feed him some water. But he refuses to take a single drop from her hand. So the nurse has to do it while she just stands there watching. When she tries to wipe his mouth, he turns away, staring at the snow.
He weakly asks if it's almost Christmas. She promises they will spend it together.
He just wants to hold on until then to join his sweet Xiao Chi.
Liu Ruyan tightly grabs his hand, trying to rub away the needle marks. But she can't.
She cries, asking how she could have missed how thin and pale he got.
How did she not notice he was sick? The audacity of this woman is insane, guys.
But he had told her. He really did.
He remembers asking her once what would happen if his stomach pain was a terminal illness.
She had just put down her chopsticks and told him not to die in her house. Now that it's actually terminal, does she still think it's bad luck?
Christmas night is always lively, filled with gorgeous, glowing trees. A massive green tree stands tall in the center of the mall. People stop to take photos under the twinkling lights. But inside the car, Fang Yuan sits in silence, wrapped in heavy winter clothes.
His thick hat is pulled low over his eyes.
He stares out at the festive night. The white snow starts falling softly.
It looks so pure, just like his little Xiao Chi's eyes smiling down at him.
He is back at the spot where he lost everything. He remembers holding little Xiao Chi in the car as they looked at the tree. But under it stood Liu Ruyan and He Yiguang. Fang Yuan quickly covered his son's eyes. Through the blinding snow, he suddenly thinks he sees Xiao Chi again, wearing his little red sweater,
He touches a bell on the tree and whispers, "Look, Dad, it is pretty."
It really is beautiful. But then, Xiao Chi's sweet smile fades away. Instead, he sees Liu Ruyan's panicked face as he wraps him in a tight hug.
Pulling him close, Liu Ruyan whispers that he is freezing. He tries offering warmth now, but honestly, his past coldness makes this hard to watch. When asked to walk, Fang Yuan just shakes his head, watching from afar.
A final Christmas for his son.
With his strength fading, Liu Ruyan realizes that Fang Yuan is freezing up. He frantically rubs his bruised wrists. All those needle marks are horrific. He keeps asking if he's cold.
His cheek presses close, begging him to speak.
The clean scent is there, but it feels so distant.
A past life, since his scent always belonged to another.
He always smelt like He Yiguang. Still, Liu Ruyan rests his chin on his hair. It is so warm inside, keeping the storm locked outside.
They watch the snow together.
His soft voice asks if he still remembers that year, regretting why he never explained the truth. He had so many chances over the years. The storm is getting heavy. Fang Yuan wonders if Xiao Chi is cold out there. But here's the heartbreaking part. He is actually glad to die just to see him. To be together forever. Fang Yuan's heavy eyelids feel frozen over. As he closes his eyes, he realizes that hearing is the last sense to go. His soul is slipping away, but Liu Ruyan's voice keeps desperately calling out, revealing the truth. If his father had not forced them to be stepbrothers, maybe they would not have ended up like this. He begs Yuan to stay, begging him to wait. But Fang Yuan only wants to stay far away from him in the next life. And the life after that, he never wants to see this man again. Faint crying echoes in the distance, and the final light begins to fade. It expands, then shrinks to nothing. He is so tired, desperately trying to raise his hand to hug his son.
He only catches a shadow, running and screaming until he reaches the very end, completely exhausted.
Panting heavily, he finally catches sight of his beloved Xiao Chi.
The boy holds his toy and smiles. "Dad, you came!" He finally holds his hand.
In the epilogue, Liu Ruyan is constantly haunted by dreams of his lost family. Dreaming of Fang Yuan feeding Xiao Chi, gently blowing on the soup spoon by spoon.
She remembers wiping his face and sometimes picking up little Xiao Chi from kindergarten.
Fang Yuan would stand at the gate, squeezing through the crowd of parents,
Standing on tiptoe.
The poor kid would always ask why his mom never came to pick him up.
Fang Yuan would stay silent, and she finally realizes why.
How could he tell his son that his mother did not love him? Low-key heartbreaking.
She takes another sleeping pill to escape reality.
since only in her dreams can she see Fang Yuan and Xiao Chi again. In her next dream, Xiao Chi runs a high fever as Fang Yuan holds him close. Squeezing into the crowded hospital clinic, he touches the boy's burning, flushed face. He is literally crying from panic, and that is when he desperately calls her. The call connects. He is sobbing on the other end. Trying to choke back his tears, he begs and says Xiao Chi has a fever. It turns out this actually happened, but what did she say back then? She cold-heartedly told him she was sick of his cheap tricks. Fang Yuan's helpless eyes make her suffocate with regret. Every single call was just a silent cry for help. A river of grief. It crashes into her chest, making it impossible to breathe.
Suddenly waking up, staring at Fang Yuan's old room, surrounded by his belongings.
Scattered around her are empty painkiller bottles, the exact ones Fang Yuan used to take.
Seeing all those empty bottles, how much pain was he in? Do these pills even stop pain? Because she took some too, and yet
nothing works. Suddenly, someone starts pounding loudly on the door. It is so loud. If Fang Yuan were here, he would hate it. He loved the quiet. She stumbles to open the door only to get slapped across the face. The blow is heavy, and her father's furious shouting instantly fills the room.
Ever since he heard about Fang Yuan passing away, he has been coughing and severely ill.
He wheezes out, asking who gave her permission to be in Fang Yuan's room.
Get out of here. Honestly, he is right. This is Fang Yuan's sacred space, and she does not belong.
But even if she dirties it, she cannot leave without his things. These belongings are all that is left of him.
She turns back into the room and picks up the box containing his memories.
But before she can hold it tight, her father shoves her, sending everything crashing down. She frantically drops to her knees to gather them back up. Standing right behind her, her father raises his cane in absolute fury. Yet he hesitates to strike, asking why she only cares now that he is gone.
Who is she trying to put on a show for? But she is not. Her husband's things.
She just wants to keep them safe and clean, and that is all she asks.
He coldly tells her she is officially disowned from the family. Totally shattered. This is her punishment. She packs up his things and leaves her family behind. Living in a world without him, Fang Yuan never visits her dreams anymore.
She knows they hate her.
Just to spend one birthday with Xiao Chi, with knitted brows and begging eyes.
That desperate look haunts her forever. But what was she thinking back then?
She only thought he was acting pitiful, wondering why he did not just go to Shen Yuchu.
He loved Xiao Chi so much. Ever since their son was born, he only had eyes for the boy. She constantly questioned if he truly loved her. Only after he died did He Yiguang tell her the truth. Fang Yuan loved her. But years ago, He Yiguang lied. He claimed Fang Yuan chose her because Shen Yuchu abandoned him.
That lie planted a deep thorn between them, but she can blame no one else.
She was too blind.
Standing before his grave, she hears footsteps.
Shen Yuchu lays down flowers, telling her she has no right to be here. Leave him in peace. When she says he is her husband, he snaps that they divorced. She never signed the papers, but boom, a brutal slap lands on her face.
The physical pain is completely numb. Ever since Fang Yuan passed away, Shen Yuchu has hit her countless times.
He screams that she was a terrible wife and mother, drawing blood. Blood splatters onto the tombstone. Because he loved cleanliness, and he absolutely hated the sight of blood.
But he hated her even more, so much that he refused to visit her dreams. Shen Yuchu grabs her arm, forcing her to look straight into his eyes.
His gaze burns with intense rage before softening into a deep, heavy grief.
His voice cracks with pain. This is low-key heartbreaking, and honestly, he is totally right. She failed him completely. In that shattered marriage, he was the only one picking up the broken pieces. He tried so hard to build a real family for them. All he wanted was a warm home for Xiao Chi and a mother who actually cared. But he failed. And now, he is finally reunited with their son. They left her behind. Seeing her completely broken, Shen Yuchu suddenly shoves her away in disgust. He wipes his hands and tells her to live a long, miserable life. Never go to them. Looking at Liu Ruyan one last time, he reminds her that Fang Yuan hates her. Desperate, she seeks therapy. Through multiple sessions of hypnosis, she finally catches a glimpse of him again. A timid, fragile boy. She loved being around him back then, though he always tried to avoid her. Later, she realized his mother strictly forbid him from getting close to her. She had no idea why. It all started when her father called her into his study, speaking cold words. Basically, her dad warned her to stay away from Fang Yuan and treat him like a brother. Turns out her dad was marrying Fang Yuan's mom. No wonder the poor guy always avoided her. He never talked to her, but whenever he was around Chen Yu, he actually smiled. Bro, that is low-key heartbreaking. He only ever treated her like a sister, exactly like their parents wanted. She tried to accept it, but seeing him eat lunch with Shen Yu and walking to school together, the jealousy completely consumed her. So she lashed out with cruel words just to see his hurt, broken eyes. But she instantly regretted it. She was trying so hard to kill her feelings. The next day, she made a deal with He Yiguang, even assigning her driver to him. She gave him the bracelet Fang Yuan gifted her, playing a role just to hurt Fang Yuan. But she had no idea how deeply it broke him until she found his old phone. The screen was smashed, but she searched everywhere to get it fixed. Once it finally turned on, the inbox was completely empty. Except for the Notes app, hundreds of entries, completely full. The last time she left her therapist, he gave her a final warning. Miss Liu.
You cannot keep doing hypnotherapy. It is going to destroy your life.
In worst cases, you will lose your sanity. But honestly, that was exactly what she wanted.
She went home, swallowed sleeping pills, and opened Fang Yuan's phone.
Her vision blurred as she started reading the entries one by one. October 28th. Today I saw Liu Ruyan and He Yiguang again. They were eating lunch together. He Yiguang
Asked so much about Liu Ruyan. I can tell he really likes her.
I know that look, because that is exactly how I look at her.
31st, they seem to be together. February 1st, I saw the bracelet I gave her.
On He Yiguang's wrist. I am never giving her anything again.
May 6th. She told me I cannot go abroad. Mon cried. Was she crying because I am useless?
Either way, I still wish him the best.
The pills failed to dull her mind. Everything became terrifyingly awake. Every single word in Fang Yuan's notes felt like heavy sand, slowly burying her alive as she read on. She clutched her chest, struggling to breathe.
Then she saw the entry where she called him pathetic. He wrote, "How do I explain to her?"
It was not my choice. I confronted Mom, but I cannot blame her. Nobody did anything wrong, so the only mistake must be me.
I am a monster. I deserve to die. Then, an entry 4 months later.
She was pregnant, but I knew Liu Ruyan did not want this child. I went to the hospital and begged so many doctors. They all just shook their heads. What does that even mean? I just did not want this baby, whom Mom saw as a curse, to ever enter this world. Why is it so hard? During her pregnancy, he wrote only one word. Sorry. He was always so quiet, so well-behaved, since he was a kid. Knowing his mom did not love him, let alone his dad, was he apologizing to Xiao Chi? Or to her? But what did Fang Yuan ever have to apologize for?
She finally realizes how badly she treated him all those years.
Cherishing him was something she never did, constantly misunderstanding him. Every diary entry he left behind is a painful accusation of her abuse. Now, consumed by guilt, she desperately searches his words for any trace of love. But there is nothing, just endless, suffocating regret. Then she stumbles upon the very last entry Fang Yuan ever wrote. Written right after Xiao Chi passed away, the entry says the boy is gone.
Fang Yuan wrote that he would join him, thinking his terminal illness was a punishment. Instead, it became his shortcut to see Xiao Chi. He had completely given up on life.
He was literally begging for death, and honestly, the sheer angst here is just off the charts. Later, after her sleeping pills fail, she gets a call about He Yiguang's death. He got drunk and fell to his death. Talk about major instant karma.
The villain literally threw Yuan off a building, only to suffer the exact same fate. But she never gave Yuan to him. She only fostered him.
She had no idea how He Yiguang got him.
Not that anyone is left to hear her excuses. She downs a handful of sleeping pills. She desperately tries to see them again, even turning to intense hypnotic hallucinations. Yet no matter what she tries, they are completely gone from her reach. Living like a walking corpse, she faces another bright, sunny day. Standing at a crosswalk, she watches the red light turn on. Through a hazy blur, she spots Fang Yuan holding Xiao Chi's hand on the other side. Their backs are turned, walking away. She screams for them with everything she has. Desperate, she takes a step and dashes out. Suddenly, a sharp screech of brakes snaps her back. A car is hurtling right at her. She freezes in place, hoping this is the end. This sequence is low-key heartbreaking. Hoping she will finally reunite with Fang Yuan and Xiao Chi. But when she blinks, the figures are already gone. The people she would spend her entire life chasing were already pushed away by her own hands long ago.